Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Top 10 edition of Magic Mike's, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day. And check out our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. And check out our Altar sleeve. Support the show by using the code MAGICMIKES for anything at that store. 5% off for you. I am Evan Irwin. We get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, MTG Nerd Girl.
Hey, guys. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day. Ruben Bressler, what's going on?
Hi, I wore a date shirt.
Look at the dinosaurs. He means business.
I've got like a Diplopithecus.
Right.
Rocking this Metropolis with the Diplopithecus. Triceratops. I got dinos. This is what I wore to my date.
Perfect, like mid-30s wear or first day of school in elementary school. It's cool. Dinos work anywhere. It's great. Well, that said, we also begin with our choice of the top comment from last week in the segment we call Honorable Mention, where Ruben will tell us who was the most eloquent and letting us know what card we did not choose as one of our top 10 Kamigawa Neon Dynasty cards. Ruben?
I am very excited by this username, and I think that I might have chosen this regardless of what they wrote, but they also wrote a good comment. The winner this week is Photogatog. That's just excellent work out of Photogatog.
Wonderful.
Longtime listener, first-time top 10 caller. I think an honorable mention for Neon Dynasty should go to Reckoner Bankbuster. As a banker by trade and a lover of rats in vehicles, the card is a slam dunk. It also goes in the Fat Guy Bees Cube. Thanks for all the great content. If you don't know what the Fat Guy Bees Cube is, it's Reckoner Bankbuster.
Bankbuster. That's right. Well, Reckoner Bankbuster is a fantastic card. I've been enjoying this one. It's 2 mana for a 4/4 rare artifact vehicle. It enters the battlefield with 3 charge counters on it. For 2 generic mana, you tap and remove a charge counter from it. You draw a card. And if there are no charge counters on Reckoner Bankbuster, you create a treasure token and a 1/1 colorless pilot creature token with, quote, this creature crews vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. And it crews for 3.
Yeah, this card, I mean, it reads similar to Treasure Map in some ways to me, while also having some aggressive, like, game-winning possibility.
Crewing for 2 higher is kind of a surprise. When I first read the first pilot card that did this, I thought it said cruise as though it were 2.
Right.
Was just kind of the way my brain did it. I was like, okay, I mean, 1 is a nice bump, but like a lot of these crews are 3. But yeah, the vehicles in this are quite powerful. Some of them crew other crews, which is neat. So yeah, this is a sweet card.
It's kind of weird to me. That line, sort of that whole line of text right there, like, was it necessary? Right? Like, I'm not sure. It crews as though it has X power or crews above.
I mean,
X
that is
power.
the pilot mechanic. I think it's an interesting pilot mechanic. I think that it's, we've got Hotshot Pilot that says that on the card, and the tokens do it, and we're very vehicle centric and pilot centric for the mechs. I think it makes sense to have them have that special ability to be able to, it's not just a 1/1 token, but it's a very narrow ability. I'm fine with it.
It's like a quiet mechanic in the set that's not. It's not named, right? It's just kind of there, but it's there. It's interesting.
Good driver.
I like it. Well, that said, thank you to Photogatog. Please contact us on social media, ideally on Twitter at Magic Mikes. At the Magic Mikes cast account, to be specific.
That's right.
Thanks again to CoolStuffInc.com for sponsoring this giveaway. And stay tuned for our top 10 list this week, and maybe you go win next week's free gift certificate, because it is time to feel the love tonight. That's right. It's where we are. All right. It's where we are.
Excellent.
So we're going to move here to our top 10 most romantic cards. Goodness. Yeah. Well, it's awesome because I don't get to impact these lists for a minute because my 10 and 9 are higher on someone else's list.
Okay.
So Ruben, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is not a romantic card in and of itself. However, I have seen it used in a half-joking manner as a word, because it is a double entendre. When you pass someone and tell them that they have a crush on you. Crush is my number 10.
Nice.
Crush is a 1 red mana instant from Mirrodin Besieged. Destroy target non-artifact creature. That's not what the word crush means in this context, but it's very clever.
I mean, right? It's a golem's hands, no tenderness. So
right.
That's how I
work. I like that you use a different word to make the thing work. That's cute. Yeah.
Very nice. Nerd Girl, what's number 10?
So my number 10 was also one of my hires. I have a total of 3.
Oh, well, me too. So we'll get through mine real quick here. So let's move on to number 9. Ruben, what's number 9?
My number 9 tells a story of pretty much the first romantically involved couple in the Magic storyline, which I wanted to reference because it seems like one of, if not the most healthy relationship between two planeswalkers I've ever heard of. And that's between Sarah and Faraz, very early in the Magic storyline, which is lovely told on the card Sarah Aviary. Sarah Aviary is 3 generic and a white for a world enchantment from the Homelands expansion. Creatures with flying get +1/+1. The art features 2 parrots that are sort of like a matched pair, and Taysir telling the story of Sarah and Faraz, and their time together, and they had a bunch of kids, and people remembering them fondly. And I just think that it's a lovely sentiment.
I see. When you first started saying it, so you're talking about this art I'm taking a look at with the 2 parrots?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. When you first said that there's a married couple, I think it's the only card to show. Oh, actually, it might be on someone's list.
It might
Does that ring any bells?
Yeah, we'll get
Okay.
there.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. And this is on the reserve list for reasons.
Sure.
So they'll never reprint Sarah Aviary. Sorry, all flying creatures get +1/+1. Nowadays it's a blue and a generic mana enchantment.
Right.
But back in those days it was an enchant world. So get it right.
Right.
Sarah Aviary and Sarah and the Faraz entire romance and bit with Homelands and how it works with Baron Singer is all in the comic books they made. If you want to check out those, some of the first comic books about Magic were all about that relationship.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'd never heard of that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, feel free to check out my Forgotten Lore, Homelands, if you want to learn more about that stuff.
Nice.
Nerd Girl, what's number 9?
All right. So my number 9 is kind of a boring pick, but I did feel like it needed to be on the list with the addition of Eldraine. I feel like we got a lot of these sorts of cards that could be sort of Valentine's and romantic-y.
Mm-hmm.
And so my number 9 is going to be Charming Prince.
Nice.
A little bit of a disappointment in that there's no flavor text, but we have a 2-mana 2/2 human noble that says when Charming Prince enters the battlefield, choose one. You can scry, you can gain 3 life, or you can exile another creature you own, return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. So it's sort of a free flicker here. It's awesome play, but I do like that there was not Prince Charming, because I'm sure that's copyrighted into oblivion. So now we have Charming Prince. So very cute and definitely very, love story-y.
So clever.
Yeah, I mean,
I love it.
It's not Prince Charming. They just flipped
It's
it
a
right
charming
on.
prince.
Charming Prince.
And the other layer to the pun or the joke in this card is that the word charm has like a meaning in Magic,
Right.
where typically you choose one of 3 options. So this is a prince that is a charm. It's a charming prince. It's so clever. They did a really good job with this card. Also, it's a very powerful card.
Yeah.
Particularly in like Yorion decks where you can just sort of blink them back and forth. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, this card's still worth money and going up, and it's a really sweet card. It saw a ton of play in Standard, lots and lots of decks. It's one of those. It's not super crazy powerful, but it's generally what you want to do when you need it. You need some life and a blocker. Here you go. You want to see what's coming up? You scry 2, so on and so forth. Let's see. Let's go on here to number 8. Ruben, what's number 8?
So my number 8 tells another story of another famous couple from Magic. I'm sort of traveling through time a little bit. These 2 people were sort of star-crossed lovers in many ways. It was like, this was the original will they, won't they, sort of like big main characters. You could tell that they were in love, but like, could I do this with our lifestyle? It was very D&D adventure, actually. It's like, but we're constantly almost dying. How could we possibly? And then the climax of that story was that one of the characters died. And the remaining character was then given a tempting offer as depicted on Yawgmoth's Vile Offering.
Huh.
So Yawgmoth's Vile Offering is 4 generic and a black for legendary sorcery, which means that you can cast it only if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. Put up to 1 target creature or planeswalker from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Destroy up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. Exile Yawgmoth's Vile Offering. This depicts the scene in which Gerard is given a deal or offered a deal with the devil, Yawgmoth, to bring back Hannah, his true love, ? And no spoilers, but some stuff happens and it's very exhilarating, but very romantic at the center of like, sort of wistful possibility of love.
Yeah, it's a shame that the artwork and the artist has such a controversy because the artwork itself is incredible. Gerard holding the head of Urza in front of Yawgmoth and the Phyrexian arena is just epic, and that's a hell of a story.
It's the first time that Yawgmoth has appeared on a Magic card. Appears as a visage, but still appears.
Well, we have Dominaria United and the Brothers War. So let's get Yawgmoth in 2022. That's right. Nerd Girl, what's number 8?
All right. So my number 8 is one of my 2 cheaty cards because I don't think that the card necessarily is super romantic or Valentine's Day theme, but it was done up really well in a secret lair for Valentine's Day specific. So my number 8 is going to be Gisela Blade of Gold Knight.
My number 10.
This Valentine's Day specific secret lair, it came out with, I believe, 5 different versions of cards. And this little cherub, I believe, right? Little and they're still flying. I like that it kind of kept to the romantic, like it still looks like the card it's supposed to, but then just done very flavorfully for Valentine's Day, and I really love it. So this is a 7 mana legendary angel creature. It's a 5/5 flying and first strike. If a source would deal damage to an opponent or permanent an opponent controls, that source deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. If a source would deal damage to you or a permanent you control, prevent half of the damage rounded up.
Yeah, this card is dope. And this was my number 10 because it's just super adorable, quite frankly. And it's
that's cute.
You want all the feels and the vibes. I mean, my God, it was literally called Valentine's Day 2021 was the secret lair drop.
Yeah.
So I included just one of those, so I restrained myself. But I said, well, if I want to include one, it's going to be this one because it's super adorable. The card is fantastic. This thing is worth over $10, no matter they've already reprinted it like 5 times. Doesn't matter. This card's great. People love angels.
I played a commander deck recently that had it in it, and as soon as it hit the board, it's worth 7 mana. Like there are some cards that you're like, everything changes when this card hits the board.
All right, let's move on here to my number 8. Oh goodness, I actually have one, my first.
Wow, very
nice. Well, this one is really cool because it's a very specific print of the card that in question, and the second part is that it's not the focus of the card, and that's what kind of makes it cool. And it's romantic, and it's sort of misty, and it kind of sets a tone and a mood. And when you look at the From the Vault version of Dryad Arbor, in the background are like 2, we'll call them star-crossed because it's a good word, 2 star-crossed lovers in the background having a moment, sharing an intimate moment, which is great. And the Dryad Arbor is just kind of hanging out as Dryad Arbor.
Yeah, I love that. Like headed to a secluded glade
for some time alone.
A tryst in the middle of the woods, surrounded by the Dryad Arbor.
Yeah, taking one of the best parts about this particular top 10 is that like you'd be surprised which cards had some sort of romantic art. You couldn't just Google MTG love and then get like some cool arts. So it's really neat to see these sorts of little hidden gems in the background.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on here to number 7. Ruben, what's number 7?
My number 7 is a card that I felt like needed to be on my list somewhere because we get a lot of romantic feelings. Not a lot, but we see romantic entanglements in art with humanoids, with humans, right? Because we identify more with people and things that look like us. We don't always get it with animals, beasts, other types of beings. And that's odd because a lot of other types of beings are also intelligent creatures that can experience love and affection. And there is no more intelligent creature than there is of the dragon. And we feature a nice, cute little relationship on broodmaid dragon. Broodmaid dragon is 3 generic black, red, green for a 4/4 dragon with flying. That when it enters the battlefield, you make a 4/4 red dragon. And they hunt together.
Aww.
And it's cute. And also this card's great. Like 8 power across 2 bodies, flying for 4 mana or for 6 mana. I'll take it.
Nice. Yeah, that's a powerful card, but also, you know, not something I ever thought of when I looked at that card and the mechanic. Like,
it was hugely impactful back in the day. First of all, like when it first came out and was sort of spoiled, it was like, that's not good enough. It's silly. It's kind of casual, whatever. And then it started to show up in all the pro decks. And then it's like, wait a minute, maybe that card is actually fantastic. And if you want to go back and check out the Pro Tour that happened around that time period, go check out the Magic Show, because one of my favorite segments was asking all the pros, you have an opening hand of 2 forests, 2 mountains, 2 swamps, and a broodmaid dragon. Do you keep that hand or do you ship it? And it was pretty cool. I got a bunch of different answers from all sorts of different people. So
It's pretty funny.
because that's what we talked about back then. Nerd Girl, what's number 7?
all right. So unlike Evan, I didn't restrain myself to just one. This art was just too cute not to. So I grabbed 2 from the Valentine's Day Secret Lair. And also this one had to make my list because it's a card I really enjoy and have taken to the Pro Tour and done all those things. And that is Boros Charm for the Valentine's Day Secret Lair.
Yeah, that was my choice. I left out.
I almost left out the Giselle the opposite direction. So Boros Charm is a red and a white for an instant that says, choose 1. Boros Charm deals 4 damage to target player or planeswalker. Permanents you control gain indestructible till end of turn, or target creature gains double strike until end of turn.
This card's been nuts ever since it showed up. Like, it's been sweet. It's still worth a couple bucks no matter how you slice it. This, Secret Lair versions were in $11, $12, which is great. So like the value was there in that package, and it's just adorable. Look at that. It's so cute with a Boros on the heart stuff.
I like that he's very themed for like Boros, which kind of makes sense with the cherubs, kind of the the way they wear their armor and things is sort of like Greek armor kind of. I love it.
Nice.
Yeah. This artist is named Brandy Milne. She was a social media phenomenon who signed on to do the Secret Lair. Very unique art styling. And kind of haunting in some ways too. I would not mind seeing her do art for a traditional Magic set, in the way that we sometimes get, Rebecca Gay and Richard Kane Ferguson. We get like these odd styles on artists sometimes, and I would not mind seeing Brandy just do a Magic card.
Nice.
Back when I first started playing, when the rocks were soft, I was used to a world in which cards had multiple versions of them. Nowadays, they're set boosters and secret layers and blah, blah, blah. Well, whatever. Back in the day, in packs, you could get one art or another art of various cards depending on what set you were opening at the time. And back in those days, it was alliances. You get $50 for a box of alliances all day long. That's what it was. And so you open your alliances pack and the card is not good. Card is not good, but the card is extremely romantic. My God, it's called Taste of Paradise. Taste of Paradise is a green and 3 generic mana for a common sorcery that says gain 3 life and gain 3 life for each green and generic mana you pay in addition to the casting cost. So at the low price of 4 mana for 3 life, you could pay 6 mana and get 6 life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not good.
Not good. I mean, Stream of Life was terrible. This is better than that and still terrible. So,
but the art on the
Lawrence
the
Snelly B version, specifically.
The B version, yeah, of having a picnic in the woods.
Yeah, having a laugh, and they're there and sharing a moment. It's really nice.
Yeah, what a lovely picture. I'm not sure I've seen this one before. I'm used to the other art with the woman holding the apple or whatever.
Yeah,
but yeah, this is great.
And it's 2 cents more expensive than the other one, which is also bad. Let's move on here to number 6. Ruben, what's number 6?
So I'm just going through all of the big power couples, it couples through all of Magic history. And I think that when I was referring to Feroz and Sarah earlier as like one of the first, if not the first, sort of like healthy relationship, there's another great healthy relationship of two people that love each other very much, and they had a child. That child, of course, was a planeswalker and then started like going, all over the multiverse, but eventually she came home to Kaladesh, and Pia and Kieran Nalaar are her parents. And we had a really lovely family unit in Magic, which is not something we get all the time. Pia and Kieran Nalaar is 2 generic red for legendary creature Human Artificer. When Pia and Kieran Nalaar enters the battlefield, make 2 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying, and pay generic a red and sacrifice an artifact. Pia and Kieran Nalaar deal 2 damage to any target.
A fantastic card.
Yeah, 4 power for 4 mana, with some of which is evasion, also removal attached. This card saw like modern Jund play. It's just a very good card.
Yeah, definitely a fun drafting archetype as well.
Yeah, this was my number 9 just look at that embraced, they're there. It's a family unit. Like, a lot of sort of fantasy stories in general. You'll see the Disney princess problem. Their parents are dead. The parents are always dead. You kill the parents off, you kill the mom off, you kill the dad off. Yeah. Parents just do not last in most fantasy stories. And it was nice to actually have them here for a little while. Yeah. Before they killed him off.
Pia Nalaar also got a card. Spoiler alert on the story for Kaladesh. But this is not just limited to Magic. Sure. It's not just limited to Disney.
Oh yeah.
I dungeon master a lot of Dungeons and Dragons games. I would say most of the character like concept submissions I get are with no family members.
Yeah.
Because it's easier that way, right? It's easier to be a character with no connections and, go into the FBI with no family members.
Right.
It takes a different kind of person to be like, oh yeah, I grew up on a farm, have 2 loving parents and 3 loving siblings, and then I left to go be an adventurer. Like that is a weird character concept, even though that's like most people in the military, right? So, I think fantasy just has this sort of different feel about it.
Also, when you're writing a story, it's easier for your character to go through struggles and hardships without those family connections. Excuse me.
But don't worry, as your dungeon master, I will kill your parents.
They will die. Horrible deaths.
Yeah. But I'll put them in strife so that you have to come rescue them.
Yeah. And then watch the bad guy, murder them in front of you, and then you have the revenge tale.
If I'm not here to instigate trauma responses, what am I doing?
Nerd Girl, what's number 6?
All right. So I don't actually know the story on this, so I'm hoping Ruben's going to be able to help us out. And this is a pretty easy slam dunk for a Valentine's Day type theme. We have another one from Eldraine. And it's depicting a couple who are just married. And, they look like royalty, as most fairy tales are. We have Happily Ever After. Ooh. This is an alternate win condition from Eldraine. It's a 3 mana enchantment. This says whenever it enters the battlefield, each player gains 5 life and draws a card. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 5 colors among permanents you control, there are 6 or more card types among permanents you control and or cards in your graveyard, and your life total is greater or equal to the starting life total, you win the game. But the art just kind of spoke to me for this like fairy tale Valentine's Day theme. It's literally called Happily Ever After, which apparently isn't trademarked. So glad they went and found that out. And I think the art is just amazing.
Oh, the art's wonderful. This is another one of those very rare, like, the parents are surviving, and that's kind of strange. It's strange to have parents surviving.
Yeah. And big full family, too.
Yeah.
So this depicts Lyndon and Kenrith, who are the king and queen of Castle Ardenvale? Yes, right. Castle Ardenvale, which is the Camelot of Eldraine. Eldraine was Grimm fairy tales and Camelot. Lots of knightly things, not lots of high royalty and whatnot. And of course, the king and queen have 4 children, 2 of whom are Will and Rowan Kenrith, who are the twin planeswalkers. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the story of Eldraine was, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe style. The kids go off on an adventure and stumble into fantasy creatures.
Right. Nice. That was because what's his butt? What's that stupid guy that we can't play with? Oko turned the king into a deer or something.
Oko turned the king into an elk with Kenrith's transformation during the course of the story after the king went looking for his kids. But ultimately, like many stories, once upon a time we tell a story and some bad things happen, but they always live happily ever after.
This one was weird. This one was only weird because, like, at the time, Wizards just like, see, we can say white cards draw cards, and you're like, no, dude, this is terrible. What are you talking about?
It's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. Well, speaking of pretty bad white cards that do stuff like that, here was another one, and it's a wonderful sentiment. I think it's a really cool, the structure of the illustration is terrific, and it really gives that kind of feel of you're there with somebody else, but it's secret because it's a secret rendezvous. Secret Rendezvous showed up in Strixhaven. It's a uncommon sorcery for 2 white and a generic mana. You and target opponent each draw 3 cards. It still sucks. But hey, it's white drawing cards.
But the story that this card tells
is just
so cute.
So wonderful.
This is puppy love. This is crush on your school classmate. Sneaking under the bleachers. Which you needed in the magic college themed set. Right.
No mention of toilet papering trees or anything, but
sure.
Everyone's
Senior Prank wasn't a card. We got Semester's End, but we didn't get Senior Prank.
I'm a little sad. Like the art was really good. The story was very cute. My sad part is that there are some cards that we obviously don't care about, but I'm sad that as a limited player, my standards for the things I play is real low. It's sort of like my dating pool. But
Heyo.
But I didn't play this card once. And I was really disappointed. And I love playing white. Like, I wish this had some sort of
Well, I have good news for you. This is a good card in Commander.
Oh.
This is a political card in Commander, which again, giving white card draw, I get it, but again, same as you, I've never cast this spell ever, not one time, and that kind of makes me sad. But it's a great story. Let's move on here to number 5. Ruben, what's number 5?
My number 5 is the only higher that I have on my list.
Okay, fair enough. Nerd Girl, what's number 5?
All right, my number 5 is a card I picked more for the flavor text than anything, but it's very on theme and kind of a home run, and that's True Love's Kiss. This is another Eldraine card, surprise, surprise, a 4-mana instant, 2 white, and you can exile, target artifact or enchantment, and draw a card. This is something that is playable and very sideboardable for limited players. Yeah, I like this card a bunch. The art is kind of romantic, but the flavor text is what got me. It says, "Be careful, dear. Some people deserve their curses." And I thought that was quite clever to add to the end of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, this is just a fantastic set for the fairy tale set. Wonderful, sort of wonderful and expected, but still wonderful. I'll take that. All right. So for my number 5, this is a card that I actually thought it was lower in my list because you had mentioned the artist, and I was like, hey, speaking of, great transition, but it wasn't, unfortunately. But it doesn't matter because this card is absolutely terrific. It's also kind of sad because in many ways we're probably never going to see this reprinted. Wizards doesn't like the ability that's on it, but you can't deny how romantic the Magic 2010 version of Regenerate is. Illustrated by Rebecca Gay. Absolutely incredible. 2 lovers in the embrace. It's terrific. It's a green and generic mana for a common instant that says regenerate target creature. And if you've been playing shortly, you have no idea what that means. That means the next time that creature would be destroyed this turn, it isn't. Instead, tap it, remove all damage from it, and remove it from combat.
Wow.
My number 10.
Nice.
The art is absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a kind of art that again, it's very similar to the Taste of Paradise art, right? Where you just have a happy couple.
Yeah.
Doesn't appear on Magic cards often because Magic is about 2 wizards fighting each other, right? And so you don't get this kind of scene often, even though Rebecca Gay is primarily known for this kind of artwork. She made a beautiful portrait of Feroz and Sarah together that is an iconic piece that she's done, and it's called Feroz and Sarah, and as far as I'm aware, it has never appeared in any Magic stuff. But it's It's, a gorgeous, like, holding each other's faces and, the light kiss on the cheek here. It's just gorgeous.
So what I took from the card was that the kiss itself was what was giving the regeneration ability, and the flavor text says this wound shall be like the chills of winter, swiftly forgotten when the spring shoots rise. So I thought it was very, very sweet, very romantic, and the not just the embrace, but the kiss of regeneration was just perfect.
Yeah, really wonderful card. It's very rare you can call magic art sensual, but Rebecca Gay is also very awesome. So, all right. So let's move on here to number 4. Ruben, what's number 4?
Well, hey, speaking of white card draw in Commander in a multiplayer format, this one was an obvious inclusion. We had to put it on the list. When you have the biggest wedding that has ever occurred on the plane, you've got to include a wedding ring. Wedding Ring is 2 generic white for a artifact from the Crimson Vow Commander decks. When it enters the battlefield, if it was cast, target opponent creates a token that's a copy of it. Whenever an opponent who controls an artifact named Wedding Ring draws a card during their turn, you draw a card, and vice versa. When an opponent has Wedding Ring, not the same, although they also have the card. But whenever an opponent who controls an artifact named Wedding Ring gains life during their turn, you gain that much life. So you both gain the benefits of each other's turns.
Yes.
Because there's 2 copies of it on the board. Another very political card, like, would you like to form an alliance? Excellent.
Yeah, this is a card that, like, it's funny because when it first showed up, everybody was like, is this any good? And then it's like worth $15+ $22 for the extended version. Like, people liked this really, really quickly. And the idea that, again, it's some white card draw, but it's also incredible. Like, this is super political. It might as well be called Political Ring. Like, it's crazy. Like, you and that other person are in it to be the last 2 standing, and then you have to kill each other.
Sure.
As a true marriage should be.
There you go.
Exactly.
You put up with each other long enough until you have to kill one of the other.
That's right. I love that.
Oh my God. All right. Nerd Girl, what's number 4?
So my number 4 and 3 are my 2 other hires. So I will see you guys in a bit.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That's fine. Well, for my number 4, this is a card that is sweet for a whole variety of reasons. It tells a great story. It leads into another card, which is terrific, which I'm not bringing up currently. Maybe it's on somebody's list. But when you look at the flavor text for Guardians of Meletis, the Meletis, that kind of goes back again to another callback, but this in particular, the flavor text says, the histories speak of 2 feuding rulers whose deaths were celebrated and whose monuments symbolize the end of their wars. In truth, they were peaceful lovers, their story lost to the ages. So just a whole thing, and it's beautiful and it's great, and the sort of together to welcome you to this paradise, and it's terrific.
Yeah. This is, every set has a common that sneaks up on you and like takes hold of the fan base in some way, shape, or form. And the story here took hold of the fan base. It energized people. And again, you get this tender story, which Greek and Roman myths happen. Like, you have good things that happen to people in the epics. And so this is a lovely little sentiment.
Yeah. I like everything about the card. It's super fun, and the art is definitely one of the centerpieces. It kind of blows my mind when I go back and look at older sets and actually appreciate the art. Because when I'm playing, especially in a competitive environment, like, I recognize them by the art, but I don't actually appreciate them. And I've been on like some shows where they actually zoom in and like discuss just the art parts without looking at what the card does. And you really start to appreciate them in a different way. And this is one of them.
Nice.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's move on here to number 3. Ruben, what's number 3?
This card was always going to be my number 3. And you'll soon figure out why. This was the first card I put on my list. It was never going to leave. It is not only a romantic card, but it's like, it is maybe the saddest Magic card.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's Felden of the Third Path.
Yeah.
Felden of the Third Path is a generic, a red, and a red for a legendary creature, Human Artificer, who's a 2/3. Pay 2 generic, a red, and tap, create a token that's a copy of target creature card in your graveyard, except it's an artifact. In addition to its other types, it gains haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Flavor text, she will come back to me. If you know the story of Felden, you know that his beloved wife died, was killed, and he spent the rest of his life attempting to build a simulacrum, a golem automaton of her, and it was never perfect. It was never right, and he sort of lived the rest of his life trying to recapture that magic, and it's very sad, and it's heartbreaking, but it's only heartbreaking because there's heart there.
That's the saddest thing ever.
It's very sad. Like, the fact that the mechanic does the thing is like, oh god. Like, the first time I read this card, I was like, how did they print this? This is a dagger.
I know, right? Like, suddenly feels on my magic card. Goodness. And just the whole thing just really works well mechanically. It all makes sense. The story's great. Like, the illustration done by Chase Stone is really wonderful, and getting that kind of emotion as he's just staring into a, ultimately lifeless face.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right. So, for my number 3, it's, I guess it's a little cliche in some ways, but I can't not have a list that has the most romantic cards from Magic's past and not have Beauty and the freaking Beast on it.
Right.
Lovestruck Beast is my number 3, and it is Nerd Girl's number 4. Very close. And you're number 5. Okay, then. Well, Lovestruck Beast is again, Beauty and the Beast, y'all. Like, it's sweet. Yeah. The artwork is terrific, whether it's the super cool artwork for the, the showcase artwork, as they call it, which is great. But, the lovers are right there for Lovestruck Beast. It's a green and 2 generic mana for a 5/5 rare beast noble. It cannot attack unless you control a 1/1 creature, but wait. It has an adventure. Heart's Desire for 1 green mana is a sorcery that creates a 1/1 white human creature token, and you may exile this card, and you may cast the creature later from exile. So it was a split card on a creature. It was a enabler for itself. It was a 3 mana 5/5 at the worst. So let's go.
Yeah, the card's good. My only counter to it being, the love story of Beauty and the Beast is he gets over her very quickly. Any 1/1 will do. He doesn't need that one specifically.
It's
like
true.
He for some innkeeper, he will change teams real quick.
That's right.
He don't care. Come get it.
Damn, that obstinate iguana looking real thick. Lovestruck Beast had to be on the list. I mean, it tells the story of Beauty and the Beast, which is an extremely romantic story, perhaps the most romantic story that Disney has ever put onto animated film, specifically of romance. Maybe since Sleeping Beauty. Right, like it's very.
I love me some Stockholm Syndrome.
That's right. Well, let's lock them up and make them love me.
Right.
Come on,
exactly.
Let's go.
But he does have a good library. Like he owns his house. Like the other option is that we've got the dude that
house. Everyone.
He owns his own house in today's economy. Listen, you got a whole library full of books that you're going to share with me. The other option was Gaston, who's like, "Ooh, what does this read?" And then he's like, "Hey, can you read to me some more?" And also he's got that bear bod. I think that this is fine. We're okay here.
Not that there's anything. Okay, let's move on here to number 2. It's getting weird.
I'm trying to rationalize.
Ruben, what's number 2?
All right, let's get back to a healthy relationship. So, as was discussed earlier on Guardians of Meletis, it is depicting 2 leaders, and those leaders are Kinaios and Tiro of Meletis. Kinaios and Tiro of Meletis is red, green, white, blue for a 2/8 legendary creature human soldier. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card. Each player may put a land card from their hand onto the battlefield. Then each opponent who didn't draws a card. This is the group hug commander these days, unless you're playing like actual old school Feldegriff. And you can, of course, see the Guardians in the background.
I mean, and look at that flavor text. Look what we fought for. Yeah. Look what we built together.
Aww.
Like, come on. That's right. And then we build it all together because it's the group hug commander and it's a 2/8. So don't go killing it. Like, let it live and let's do some fun stuff. That's awesome. Nerd Girl, what's number 2?
All right. So my number 2 actually has a very similar story to one of Ruben's cards, because what is more romantic than going to try to save your loved one? And that is exactly what we have in Rescue from the Underworld. This is a 5-mana instant speed spell that says, as an additional cost to cast Rescue from the Underworld, sacrifice a creature. And then you can choose target creature card in your graveyard, return that card to the and the sacrifice card to the battlefield under your control. At the beginning of your next upkeep, exile Rescue from the Underworld. So this actually depicts Orpheus going to the underworld to save his wife's soul or spirit or, whatever. And I thought that this was a really nice touch to the Theros sets. And I like that they added a lot of those sort of flavorful stories.
Yeah, it's a really weird card, though. Like this, it's really weird. The beginning of your next upkeep is a very rare place for things to trigger, generally.
It tells the story of like you said, of Orpheus and Eurydice. It's a dangerous journey. He's in the underworld for quite some time. You can get exiled from the underworld by any number of, Crook of Condemnations and Scavenger Grounds and Tormod's Crypt. That's a dangerous place for you to be, friend. But if you're able to make it back, you can both come back to the land of the living. Very powerful card with come into play abilities and leaves play abilities as well. I love this card in Limited. And it's just a cool card.
It was a sweet card back in the day. All right. Well, let's move on here to number 1. Ruben, what's number 1?
So probably cheating, because it's not a Magic card in that I think they made one of them. However, it is on Scryfall, and it is literally how Richard Garfield proposed to his wife.
My number 2.
My number 1 is Proposal.
Yep.
My number 3.
Nice.
Okay, so not cheating. All right.
We're here.
White gets you a sorcery that allows Richard to propose marriage to Lily. If the proposal is accepted, both players win. Mix the cards in play, both libraries and both graveyards, as a shared deck. Apparently, Richard Garfield and Lily still have this card somewhere in their collection.
Nice.
I would think so. Yeah, this is super cute. This was originally, when I was going through, I hadn't even started looking up cards yet, and I just put this in the number 1 slot. And then I was like, they always use me for the give me cards. I'm going to move it down 2 slots, and I know they'll take it.
Sure. Nice.
It was definitely one that needed to be included. I thought the art is great, and the story behind it's super cute. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to get more romantic than a marriage proposal. I mean, there you are. Nerd Girl, what's number 1?
All right. So my number 1 is a card that, it's very, very fitting to me and to my Valentine this year. There is nothing that says Valentine or your Valentine needs to be another human. So for my number 1, we're going to go ahead and do Selfless Savior.
Oh.
This is a 1-mana creature dog. It is a 1/1, and it says you can sacrifice Selfless Savior. Another target creature you control gain indestructible till end of turn.
No, it has no abilities.
The flavor text, however, on the other side says, she raised him from an orphan pup and gave him a life of love. With his last act, he thanked her. And that's just true love. That's the best of it.
Now you're pulling at the strings again. We're hitting feels. Damn it.
It's so much feels.
It's so much feels, man.
This is such a beautifully told story. This card has no abilities. You're not allowed to sacrifice the dog.
Okay. Flavor Judge does not approve.
But that's a great number 1 choice.
Absolutely terrific. Now, for my number 1, because I've been around for a while, there was a guy named Jamie Wakefield. And Jamie Wakefield was a pro player who generally played green decks, green stompy decks. Even when everyone said green was trash, he would play the mono green deck and make it work. Somehow figured out a way to do it. His wife, Marilyn Wakefield, was well known around tournaments with Jamie. She absolutely loved horses, so she got the nickname Mare as a result. After she passed away in 2006, the folks at Magic decided to honor him and, well, her with timbermare.
Yeah.
Timbermare is a terrific green aggro creature, as Jamie would like to play. It's a green and 3 generic mana for a 5/5 rare elemental. It has haste, an echo of a green and 5 generic mana. At the beginning of your upkeep, if this creature came under your control since the beginning of your last upkeep, sacrifice it unless you pay its echo cost. And when it comes into play, enters the battlefield, you tap all other creatures. So a creature that was sort of this aggro and this quick and scary had not been seen in those days, and this was very, very impressive.
Yeah.
But the flavor
certainly
text,
not in green.
Right, certainly not in green. And the flavor text here, only nature wreaks such lovely havoc. So
yeah, the sentiment behind this card is, I mean, I think that this was our collective number one like reference card,
sentimental or something.
Sentimental card, yeah,
something like that.
Because the story that this tells of a couple that loved each other and a spouse who died too soon, and then the community rallying around that person and commissioning art, putting a card together and making it a rare in a set that was released around the world. That's beautiful.
Absolutely. So
that is not something I'd ever heard before. So thank you for sharing.
There you go. Well, that's what we got Old Man Magic for. But that was our top 10 romantic cards. You'll see them on screen right now. If you review, take a look at my list, Nerd Girl's list, Ruben's top 10, and we want to hear from you about what card we did not talk about, and we'll select our favorite to win $50 worth of anything at coolstuffing.com. But before we go, I want to thank my co-host. Thank you, Nerd Girl.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you,
Happy
Ruben.
Valentine's.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day to all as we move to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com and AltarSleeves.com, my co-hosts, MTG Nerd Girl and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching and listening. I hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online at Twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.